What is going on, everybody? My name is Nate, and this is the Awesome Watch podcast. My guest today is Brian Linnell. Brian is a husband, a father. He is a lineman by trade and also an up-and-coming personal trainer and content creator. I have the pleasure of having Brian on today. Thank you, my man, for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
I wanted to do this with you because you're someone that I look up to in the fitness space. Your transformation has been nothing short of incredible. The dedication you've put in and the commitment that you have to trying to make yourself better is truly something to be spoken about. So that's why I wanted to have you on today. If you could do me and the audience a favor, just give us a quick couple minute spiel. Give us give us a background on who you are, where you came from, and what you've done. Also, I forgot to mention Brian is a veteran, so thank you for your service. But
Yes, sir.
give us a little spiel on what you did in life to end up here where you are, as motivated as you are, and what has made you who you are today.
Well, fitness, like you were saying, I've gone up and down in that. I worked out a whole lot when I was in the service. Got out, got lazy, like everybody does. You know what I mean? You're in shape while you're in, look good, feel good, get out. Don't really have that mission mindset anymore. You're just trying to find out what to do. You know what I mean? So I let that overtake my body and me. Drank a whole lot more, ate whatever I wanted to, got fat, and then realized that I was not in shape anymore. Started working out again, and it just up and down, up and down, up and down. I think what finally sent it over the edge for me was my daughter. This was about a year ago, a little over a year ago. She was telling me I was getting a little fat, and I mean, I was already feeling like I was not showing them what they needed to see in a father figure. You know what I mean? So I buckled down and got a coach and decided that at that point that I was no longer going to be the fat dad. You know what I mean? I was going to be fit and impress myself, look good for my wife, look good for the kids, show them what hard work and just dedication will actually do for you when you just set your mind to something. Like changing your body, it's not hard, but it takes commitment. You know what I mean? Motivation will get you somewhere, but once motivation's gone, what are you left with?
Yeah, there's a saying, it's not easy, it's simple.
Yeah.
It ain't easy, but I could write down on a piece of paper for you in 10 words on how to do it, you know?
Yep. So once that motivation's gone, if you, how to say it really, once that motivation's gone, you're left with the commitment and the discipline that you have built for yourself. You know what I mean? If you can't commit to it, once that motivation's gone, then you're done again. You know what I mean? You're left back at square one, eating the same shit that you were eating that got you fat and uh, just not happy with yourself. So once you build that commitment and that discipline, eating what you're supposed to eat, eating proper, it's easy. You know what I mean? And it's a lifestyle change for sure, but you don't have to always eat chicken and rice and broccoli and ground beef. You know what I mean? Like once you get into that fit area or that body and how you want to be, if you go out with your wife on a Saturday night and you have a steak dinner, you're not ruining anything. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like, oh, now all my gains are gone. Like that's not how that works.
Yeah. Before we dive too heavy into the fitness stuff, just give me a quick rundown of who you are, where you're from, and a little bit of what you want to share about your military service and how you think those lessons you learned in the military paved the way for your determination now.
I'm from Northern California originally. Um, I got to Texas. My ex-wife was from here, and that's how I got here to Texas. Military, man, I didn't really do a whole lot. I was one of the lucky ones. I made it to Afghanistan for my very last deployment, but like I said, it was one of those lucky deployments for me. I didn't see any action, any combat, nothing like that. It was just a deployment. Some people weren't so lucky, you know what I mean? Some buddies of mine, they went back after I transferred out of the command, and it wasn't as easy the second time go around for them, but I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't get to see nothing. I don't regret that. You know what I mean? I feel like I was blessed for being able to go there and do what I was doing. I was a heavy diesel mechanic by trade, ran a couple convoys, um, didn't see nothing. Was a gunner in a couple convoys, but it was just back and forth from the base we were on to the next base over. So I didn't do nothing fancy. You know what I mean? I can't claim that hat because that's bullshit. You know what I mean? Uh, Military helps you with discipline. I mean, it's easy to get out of that discipline though too. You know what I mean? If you're not continuously finding a mission or continuously having something that you want to nail down and get right, it's easy to fall out of that discipline. A lot of people do it. You know what I mean? Some don't. Some get out of what they were doing. Like I was a CB in the Navy. It's disciplined, yeah, but it's not as strict as like Army or like Marines. You know what I mean? You see a lot of those guys get out and flourish, and you see a lot of guys get out and fail. You know what I mean? But I guess it's all in what you do with that failure. Is it failure or is it a lesson? Do you learn from it or do you let it consume you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you play sports in high school?
I play football.
Okay.
That was fun. I played high school football until my senior year. I got kicked off the team. Other things were more important to me at that time than going to practice. Coach didn't like that, so I played all the way up. I think my first couple games, I think I got in, and then after that, I didn't play anymore.
How long did you wait to join the Navy?
I joined in 05. I graduated in 2004. My sister graduated in 05, and she went in as an operations specialist. And before she left, she called me a pussy because she joined, and I didn't have any real desire to join. But once she did, I was like, okay, cool. You're doing that now. I'm not letting you get away with that. She didn't last very long. I lasted a little longer than she did.
Did you go full 4 years?
I went 7.5 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then we had that whole downsizing of the services, and that's how I got out. It wasn't a choice of mine. It was more of like a, hey, you're done kind of thing.
That was a 2012, 2013
2013.
Nice.
Yeah, January 29th of 2013.
Nice. How do you think being in the service and having a regimen, having something to do every day, and getting out of the service, what did you do? What tools did you use to get back on track, whether that was right after you got out of the service, a year after you got out of the service, or, up till recently when you started transforming your life again?
So when I got out, I went up back to Northern California with my ex-wife, where my first ex-wife was, with my son. And getting out, it was hard. I didn't have a routine. I applied for several jobs. Like I said, I was a heavy diesel mechanic, so I applied for John Deere up there in Northern California and Caterpillar, and John Deere didn't say anything to me. Caterpillar gave me an interview, and then I was told I was too green, so I didn't get the job. And then about a month or two later, I got another interview. I got called back for another interview with the same guy. Still didn't get the job. So I did whatever I could find. I had a job doing security for there's like not a sawmill, but they do like baseboards and headboards and stuff like that. I was a security guard for them for that on nights, and got fired from that job. It wasn't an end all be all job. Then worked at a gym for a little while and ended up getting fired from that job too. Can't conform or whatever. My old boss from the job I had before that came there and was running his mouth, and I told him exactly how I felt in front of the manager, and that got me fired from that job. And after that, it took me a little while to get another job. I got a job with my landlord, and he did scrap metal. So I drove a truck, picked up scrap metal and all that kind of stuff, and did that for a little while. When he couldn't pay me, my rent was free, and his wife would buy groceries for the house. You know what I mean? Just kind of, I guess, a thank you. You know what I mean? So times were hard for him too. Then I came across my buddy Eric at a gas station. I was filling up the truck I was driving, and he was filling up the truck he was driving, and he was doing water well. Well, I did water well drilling when I was in the service. So I asked him, hey, are y'all hiring? And he's like, I'm pretty sure we are. And I applied, and he put a good word in for me. And I talked to the manager, the hiring manager, and told him I'd done a little water well drilling when I was in the service or whatnot. And he asked if I had my CDL, and I said, no, not yet. And he's like, well, that's something that you have to get while you're here. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And I was on the midst of getting my CDL when my ex-wife moved back to Texas. She got a job with Teeks in College Station. And I told her, I said, go for it. If you get the job, I'll be there as soon as I can. You know what I mean? I'll pay your way till everything gets going. And then I'll meet you in Texas or whatnot. She ended up getting the job and moving out here with my two kids. And I stayed working there in California. It was hard to beat. I made $16 an hour and made $2,000 a week, if that tells you anything on how the work was going. Work was constant, which was really nice. And most money I'd ever made at that point. You know what I mean? I got here to Texas and worked at the fire field. It took a while to get that job. That job didn't pay right, and I got went to school for line school, and then became a lineman. And I work for Energy now. I worked for the city of College Station before that, and I mean it's a good job. It's a good paying job. You know what I mean? Kind of has to be with the stuff that you deal with, but it's all relevant to what you're doing. Like if you can be mindful of what you're doing and listen to the people that are ahead of you and learn exactly what you're doing with the wire when it's energized, when it's not energized. It's more or less a safe job. You just got to keep your head on straight.
One of the highlights I want this episode to be about is being consistent and being determined. When you got out of the military and didn't get those jobs with Cat and with John Deere, what was your mindset? What were you thinking? Was it like, your loss, I'm just going to go be a good worker somewhere else? Like, is that just who you are? You're just a guy who's going to figure it out?
I try to be. I don't always figure it out. You know what I mean? If I could figure everything out, I'd be a millionaire by now. You know what I mean? Some people are really good at figuring out, and I'm still trying to get that figured out. Um, it didn't stop me from applying to jobs. You know what I mean? It just held my money back a little bit. Um, I did all my jobs that I had really good. That one that I got fired from, um, I accidentally ran my truck into a wall, and that's how I got fired from that job. But I mean, I did everything they asked you to do. You know what I mean? I had a family to pay for. You know what I mean? House or rent house and two kids and a wife at the time. So find anything I could to make money so we could eat. You know what I mean? That from the military, that consistency and like it was easier in the service, I would say. And I don't know if a lot of the guys that were in agree with me or not, but when you wake up on Monday and this is what you're doing the entire week, and you go home for the weekend unless you're on call, and then you have this to do the entire week, it makes it easier. Like and say it's not, there's no thinking behind it. You know what I mean? It's like, this is just your routine. Once you get in that routine, this is what you do every single day.
Yeah, it's all laid out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to dive into a little bit about the fitness aspect and what you're doing with the personal training side and your transformation, becoming, somebody that is super fit and super dedicated at the same time, not just being one of those freak guys who doesn't pick up a weight for a month and is still jacked, doesn't work out hardly ever, and he's still just a shredded human being. What pillars, start the conversation off, what pillars would you say you've built your fitness journey on?
Well, I mean, you have to have a why. You know what I mean? If you don't have a why that's stronger than your why not, you're not going to succeed in really anything. You know what I mean? My why are real deep. I've got a beautiful wife, which I don't know why she picked me, but she did. You know what I mean? She was a gymnast and a cheerleader. She's gorgeous. I've got 4 kids, one who's 2, and I've got 14, 15, and a 19-year-old. My daughter is one of my biggest fans, I believe. Besides my wife, I think my daughter is one of my biggest fans. And just to see how I've changed with working out and eating properly, just to see now she doesn't no longer poke my stomach and is like, hey, dad, hey, dad. She's like, my boyfriend's afraid of you. And she's like, you're bigger now. And I was like, I mean, I'm the same person. She's like, no, but you don't look the same. You don't have that fat belly anymore. You know what I mean? So my whys are my family. You know what I mean? And to show them, like I said earlier, that this staying consistent with something and actually going after something that you can achieve it. It's not just watching somebody on Instagram that is extremely jacked and is extremely wealthy or has their fitness program and is doing really well. Like you can achieve that if that's what you really want to do. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to show them that, like, if you stay grounded in your pillars, like, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is the why I want this, it makes it so much easier to go after. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, doing the fitness coaching is still nerve wracking a little bit, you know what I mean? Because it's It's different. It's not one of those things that we're like, I know it's a 9 to 5, and as soon if I show up to work, I'm gonna get paid. It's not one of those things. You know what I mean? It's changing people's lives. You know what I mean? It's putting their life in your hands and getting them the results that they want, as long as they're willing to put in the work. You know what I mean? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's the same with this fitness journey. You know what I mean? And even running a program. Like, if you want people to succeed, you have to have that kind of motivating aspect to get them started, and then show them how to have that discipline to keep going.
Simple, not easy.
Yeah.
So I recently went on a fitness journey as well. Trained for a half marathon for time, did it with one of my good friends, lost 40 pounds, changed my life. I've never been happier. I feel like that's something that isn't talked about a lot, is when you look in the mirror and see somebody that you're happy with, makes you a lot happier. Makes you a lot happier to wake up and just live life every day. But to people who aren't motivated, or to people who have been motivated before and have fallen out of the motivation and have got back on the unmotivated path, what are some things that you would tell those people to kickstart them? If this changes one person's life, if this motivates one person, if you could just hope to inspire one person to change, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to just sit down and really think about what you want. If you have to get a journal and write it down. I mean, you take it from here and you put it here. Sometimes it's easier for people to be like, okay, I'm starting now. You know what I mean? Find that why. Whether it's for you, it's for your kids, your wife, your girlfriend. Find that why and make sure that it's stronger. Like, dig deep. You know what I mean? It's easy to fall off. It's real easy to fall off. But it's also easy to stay consistent and to get on, as long as you figure out why you want to do this, instead of why it's okay not to do this. You know what I mean? Make sure that why is a lot stronger. And plus, getting into shape and building that consistency. Like, if somebody's not real confident, but they set like a small goal for themselves and they achieve that small goal, and they're like, well, now I can do a bigger goal. Then you achieve that bigger goal. Then you set a bigger goal. And you achieve that bigger goal. And you keep achieving the goals you're setting. You get confident. You become confident. And then that discipline follows. You know what I mean? And that's my aspect on it. I don't know how anybody else feels about it. But for me, I had to get those small goals. You know what I mean? Like, when I first started mine, I wasn't just like, okay, now I'm disciplined and I'm going to do it. Like, I fell off. You know what I mean? Like, I quit drinking, then I would drink. And I was like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. So then I would order even longer, and then I'd have a drink. I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. And then I got to a point after like the third time of falling off and having a drink, and it wasn't like I was getting hammered drunk. It was like one drink. And I was like, I told myself I wouldn't do that. And then that disappointment in yourself, for some people, like for me, it's worse than my wife being like, hey, I'm disappointed that you did that. I mean, yeah, that sucks. But when you're disappointed in yourself because you set a goal for yourself and you're like, man, just fall back. And you realize, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Sometimes that's what it takes. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be 100% right off the bat, and that's okay, as long as you don't stop. You know what I mean? As long as you don't let one bad day turn into a bad week. Because if you let it turn into a bad week, then it's going to turn into a bad 2 weeks, and then you're just right back where you're at. So find your why, set small goals, achieve those small goals, and then keep setting the bar higher, and then just see what happens in a month. See how you feel, see how you look. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. For me, about the 3-4 month mark is when I was really starting to notice a difference. Like, my wife would tell me, hey, I'm noticing a difference. But looking in the mirror, you're like, yeah, I don't really see anything different. About the 3 to 4 month time frame for me is when I started noticing that, oh, there is a difference here. My pants don't fit like they used to. My shirts are too big. You know what I mean? And slim down. Like, I went from a little over 200 pounds to 176 pounds in 7 months. So it's definitely possible. You just have to figure out why you want it, and then stick with it.
It's funny when you haven't seen people in a while and you lose a lot of weight and they're just like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
And the only thing you can say is, I just started caring about myself and taking the time to invest in myself than taking time to invest in other things that don't benefit you on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said about when you were mentioning setting small goals. I mean, how do you eat an elephant? I say this to people all the time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You can't look at that whole elephant and be like, oh, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty big task there. And same thing with fitness and trying to lose weight. If you set a goal, if you set a number and a month later you still haven't set that goal and you haven't set that number, you could look at yourself as a failure. But if instead of setting a goal that is so far out, I know people say shoot for the stars and you'll land somewhere short and still be way out there, but if you set small goals, wake up at this time, get out the door at this time, work hard today, get to the gym, come home, eat a good meal, be a good husband, be a good boyfriend, be a good father, get to bed at a certain time. If you do 5 of those things out of the 10, you still won 5 times that day.
Yeah.
Instead of setting one goal and maybe not hitting that goal, and then you look at yourself like a failure. If you're able to set small goals and those small wins, those micro wins, if you're able to have those micro wins throughout the day, it makes the process and makes the journey so much more enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
You feel like you're doing something.
Well, see, I like that when you said shoot for the stars. That was one thing that I did. Like, I shot for the stars. I wanted to be in a size 29 pants. I'm not in the size 29 pants now, so don't get it twisted. I'm back up to 190, but I'm feeling good. At 176, I was in size 29 jeans. I could wear those, and they weren't tight. They were kind of loose. And I set that goal, and I just, for me, setting a farther out goal and then setting small goals to get to that farther out goal, it was easier for me to be able to achieve that. You know what I mean? It's easier for me to achieve that bigger goal by just setting small goals. Like, okay, I'm going to eat my meal plan today. I'm going to make sure that I consistently eat what I need to eat. You know what I mean? So breakfast, I'm waking up on time to make my breakfast, to make my lunch, to get everything ready. And then it got into meal prepping because I was making it every single day, you know what I mean? Or I'd make it the day before. And the wife and I got to talking, and my coach had preached meal prepping, and I never really done it before. So I told her, I said, let's just buy a lot of ground beef and chicken, and let's meal prep for the week. Once we started meal prepping for the week, then that was another goal that I had set, that we set and we accomplished. You know what I mean? So it made it easier to achieve that eating on your meal plan every single day. You know what I mean? On Saturdays, I would eat something different for dinner. Like, I would have, if we had steaks, I would have a steak for dinner, but I would do it on a Saturday. So when I did that, I made sure the fat content that I ate at the beginning part of the day would make it to where it would still fit in my macros for that entire week. Because I look at macros and was taught macros in a week. So say you have a calorie goal, or your calorie set, say you have 2,300 calories, whatever that is, on a Saturday or on a week goal, as long as you don't go over that, you've met your calorie deficit or whatever for that entire week. And if you go over that, you find that number that you go over, and then that next morning when you're eating, or the next day, you subtract that in that day, what you went over the day before, and then eat that way. It doesn't, just because you have gone over in a day, it doesn't mean that you ruined the entire week. You know what I mean? And I was a big proponent for, like, oh, I ate this, well, I just ruined the week, so I'll just start again on Monday. And then I'll just start again on Monday. And I think that's what killed me before, was that I'll start again on Monday. Well, that Monday never came. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people are like, well, I mean, it's just easier if I just do this. This is my norm. This is what I'm comfortable in. But once you get out of your comfort zone and you stay out of your comfort zone, that's when you start growing or losing at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The week-long macro picture is, it makes so much more sense when you live a busy life, when you live an active life. My dad's a freak athlete. He's an Ironman triathlete, one of the best looking 55-year-olds I know. And he tells me all the time, it's debits and credits. When I was going through my weight loss journey and he would come home from his house and be at our house, I would tell him, oh, I was in a deficit at the time, and oh, I did this and I did that, and this is what I ate, and this is what I've been on. And he's like, are you having any fun doing it? Like, are you Are you going to get a cheeseburger every once in a while? Are you going, are you going out with your friends and eating some pizza every once in a while and, wanting to be the best I could? I was like, oh no, I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I was so strict. And the longevity aspect of it goes back to what he says about debits and credits.
Yeah.
You can eat your pizza. It's just going to take a little bit out of your debit. You got to give it a little bit more credit after that.
Well, comes a time, especially on a deficit, when you're eating on like a higher deficit, there comes a time where you're going to need a refeed week. You know what I mean? So you're going to up your calories, you're going to up your carbs, your fats, and your proteins for a week, and that's not going to do anything but refeed your body, refuel it with the stuff that you're limiting it on. You know what I'm saying? So doing that refeed week and then getting back on cycle, you know what I mean, is not a bad thing at all.
Especially if you're training hard.
Yeah.
You're actually getting after it.
Yeah. I didn't know that before. My coach now, Caleb Watt, great dude. He's real big on that. Like, get yourself in a deficit, and then at a certain point in that deficit, you need a refeed week. You know what I mean? You need to refeed your body, especially if you start plateauing on your weight loss. You know what I mean? If you start plateauing on your weight loss, and refeed, it kickstart everything back, and then start back on that deficit after that week, and it'll help kickstart losing weight again. And it's just putting your body, or not putting your body. It's making it to where your body's not in that. This is the norm now. You know what I mean? It's
right.
more of what a shock, not a shock to your body, but it's I can't think of the word I'm thinking about. It's more of like breaking that routine. Like if you're constantly working out, same weight, you're not going to get stronger. You know what I mean? Like the weights aren't going to go up. You know what I mean? You have to lift a little heavier each week, progressive overload. You know what I mean? So eating in a calorie deficit for so long, refeed once you plateau, and then continue on. You know what I mean? Because everybody needs fats in their diet. You know what I mean? You need a certain amount of fats for hormone production and hormone regulation and stuff like that. So if you're not getting that, then you're depleting your body of stuff. Your body hormones will be out of whack. Your mood's going to be out of whack. There's a lot that goes into it. You know what I mean? There's a lot that plays into having the proper fats and the proper amount of protein and proper amount of carbs for what you're trying to achieve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there definitely is a point in a cut where you feel like you have hit that plateau where your body's starting to be like, okay, this is what you're going to give me every day. Like, let me adjust a little bit.
Yeah.
It starts to figure itself out. I was on a 9-week cut, and that was probably 2 to 3 weeks too long, just because what I was putting out a lot of output, running a lot, working out a lot, cycling a lot, swimming a lot. And it just felt like I got to the point. I actually called the guy who was coaching me, and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. What do you think? And on the phone, he told me that minute, he goes, dude, get back to a maintain. Like, get back to a point slowly over the next couple of weeks. Get back to a point where you're fueling your body enough. Spend 4 or 5 weeks doing that. Get recharged, get refueled, and if you want to go back into a cut, see how you feel then.
Yeah. You gotta hit a point that you start maintaining where you're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It all depends on what you want to lose. You don't want to be in a cut for too long. I was in a cut for 6 months where I ate. I didn't eat the meal plan constantly, but I ate in that calorie deficit, or I would eat less. You know what I mean? I was still trying to learn what it was doing, and that's probably the contribute to like all my shit hurt. My joints hurt. You know what I mean? My muscles hurt all the time. I wasn't refueling them properly, so I've done a good way and I've done a bad way. You know what I mean? And that cut that I did, it wasn't good in a good sustainable cut. You know what I mean? It wasn't good for my body. I started eating a little more, putting a little more calories in, and my body started feeling good. My strength was going way down. You know what I mean? I mean, your strength's going to go down a little bit in the cut, but mine was going way down. And I started eating a little more, and it started going back up. My body started like, okay, this is where we need to be. You know what I mean? I feel great at like 185, 190. That's where I feel good at. And that, I mean, I'm going to try and go up when I do a bulk. I just haven't started yet. That's my next venture.
As a man of faith myself, I just want to ask you, I know you're a man of faith as well. You go to a church right down the road. I go to a church on the other side of town. What has faith meant to you? And we didn't talk about this before, so I'm kind of throwing this bomb on him. But what has faith meant to you throughout the course of your early life in the military, post military, before you found the career you're in now, how does it help you with dealing with doubt and doubting yourself, and then how has it affected you where you're at now and what you're doing with your life now?
Man, I'll be 100% honest with you. We were raised. My stepdad raised us in a Catholic church, and as soon as I was able to get out of there, I didn't. I stopped. I stopped going. It's not I didn't stop believing, but I just stopped going. You know what I mean? And I didn't really find faith, I think, until we hit Afghanistan. So down that deployment, I was told by people that had been there before, either rather Iraq or anything in a combat zone like that, you'll find Jesus. You know what I mean? There comes a point when you're there that you're like, okay, if it's my time, it's my time. You know what I mean? So I found faith then. And then when I got out, I mean, I still believed, but there was no like, I couldn't tell you that I went to church because I'd be lying to you. I didn't read the Bible very much. You know what I mean? I haven't read the Bible very much. That'd be a lie if I said I had. I started to, when I was going through my divorce with my ex-wife, I started to read a little more, started going to church a little more. And that helped a little bit, you know what I mean? And going now, it's something that a buddy of mine had mentioned. They go to this family faith church here in Willis, and he said I should go. And I told the wife, said, "Do you want to go to church?" And she said, "Yeah, we can go." And we've been going since. We missed the past couple times. Weren't here, you know what I mean? We're out of town or whatever, but we pretty much go every Sunday to that one here. And it's if you look at it, there's a lot of things that you can follow in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like how God tells you to be humble and to have faith and stuff like that. I'm still trying to learn. You know what I mean? Like stuff still scares me. Like even starting the coaching business, that's a scary feat. You know what I mean? For me right now, I'm just starting. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get it. I'm dipping my feet. I'm getting my feet wet right now. You know what I mean? I haven't been able to jump fully in it. I got my first client today, getting him set up on the app, Trainerize app, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm putting as much forward as I can with it. You know what I mean? I'm hoping to jump fully into it here soon, and just Jesus take the wheel, and just go after what I want.
Yeah, all glory to God, man. Seriously, if you're rooted in that, if you trust that He has that plan for you, it's so much easier to, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for today has its own struggles." You know, today is full of its own problems, and you know, if you have that mindset of just trying to tackle every single day as that day and not worry too far down the road, and put your faith in God that He will do what you're hoping He will do, as long as you're there to praise Him and thank Him for giving you the ability to do it.
Yeah,
I think that holds a lot of weight for people who are trying to do extraordinary things.
I can agree with that. He's not going to just hand it to you. You definitely got to work for it.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people, they're rooted in fake faith. They think that just because they believe that it's just going to be given to them. You know what I mean? And if that, and they don't have it, and you don't have it, and if that doesn't show you that you have to work for what you want, you have to go out there and get it, and trust that you trust His path. You know what I mean? Trust His timing. If you don't trust His timing, you're never going to get there. You're either going to jump in it and fail, or you're not going to jump in it at all.
Yeah, no doubt. It's such a dynamic thing to think about, especially when you're starting new adventures and trying to put yourself out there for people. It's scary.
Yeah.
And it's not only is it scary, but once you get on the other side of that, it's so immensely rewarding, and it's so life altering when you're able to do something that you're truly passionate about, that makes you happy, and when you're able to be a better version of yourself than you ever thought you could be. Not only that, you're helping other people, which that's one of the most gratifying things any man could ever do, is, you know, iron sharpens iron. So to be able to help people do things that they otherwise wouldn't be doing, and which with what you're doing, specifically helping other guys become a better version of themselves, become more fit, become a better husband, become a better father. There's a lot to be said about that. It's really admirable.
Yeah, when you, like you said earlier, when you're rooted in your faith and whatnot, or you're rooted in um, belief. You know what I mean? I mean, as of right now, a lot of people that may be out of shape, they don't have a whole lot of confidence in themselves. There's not a whole lot of self-esteem there, and I didn't have that. You know what I mean? And when I was starting to get into shape, and you build that confidence, and you're in a community of people that are doing the same, then you realize I don't have to do this alone. Like, I'm not doing this alone. I've got people that I can rely on. You know what I mean? I got people I can fall back on, ask questions and stuff like that. To me, that makes it easier. You know what I mean? So if you can build the community while helping people, so there's more people there to talk with instead of just, hey coach, hey coach, hey coach. You know what I mean? And granted, starting off, there's going to be if I have onesie twosies, it's going to be like that. But once I can get a community backed, like the one I'm in now, to me, it's very worthwhile. You know what I mean? It's makes it easier to stay consistent. Makes it easier when you have that partner, the accountability partner. You know what I mean? Or you have a whole bunch of people that are holding you accountable. You know what I mean? Like that, to me, makes things easier. Makes it easier going for it and getting into shape and trying something new. You know what I mean? Like if you've never tried to be in shape, but it's something that you look on Instagram and you see some dude with a six pack, or you see some girl that like, here, this is how you grow your glutes, and you're a woman and that's what you want. That, I mean, that's great. But if you never go out to try and get it, or you don't have that backing, you know what I mean, that team behind you, it makes it difficult.
Yeah,
So
faith is the same way. A lot of people get into faith and have their own life struggles and think that they're the only person on that island, and you are not the only guy on
yeah,
that island. There is nothing new under the sun. You are not the only guy dealing with XYZ. You are not the only person who's ever looked at themselves in the mirror and been like, I don't really like what I see.
yeah, for
So
sure.
being part of that community, having those guys around you that you can hear their testimony, really helps put your life into perspective and makes you realize that you're probably just a normal dude
Yeah,
dealing with normal guy stuff.
it helps you push forward too. You know what I mean? Especially like if you got a guy in there that wants to lose 100 pounds, and you got a guy in there that wants to lose 20 pounds, and that guy that's losing 100 pounds is losing the weight and keep doing and keep going. It makes it, you're like, well, he can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? Sometimes that takes that kind of motivation for people to be consistent with what they're doing. And if you can build a community or get behind a community, that's, to me, that's where you should be. You know what I mean? That way you can, when you're done with your fitness journey, you're never really done. But when you get to a point to where you're not with a coach anymore, but you see people at the gym and you're like, hey man, I can help you with that if you need help. And you help people and you help people and you help people. I mean, it's a good feeling. You know what I mean? Like I've talked to people in the gym, and my wife forgets. She's like, "You talk to everybody." Like I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, girl, boy. You know what I mean? I mean, man, woman, whatever. It doesn't matter. That would be if I see someone like, hey, if you try out this way, you're safer with your shoulders, or if you try this way and you squeeze a little more, you'll feel that in that muscle group better. You know what I mean? And she told me that I should be a coach, and um, it's something that I've always thought about. You know what I mean? But I never had the physique or the drive to actually do it until I started getting into shape. You know what I mean? And seeing what these people can actually do for people when they know what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
To kind of wrap stuff up, I want to talk about something that's a little bit controversial, something that not a lot of people talk about. And that is, since you're a guy who has transformed himself naturally, and I'm on that same page. I didn't take any crazy drugs or GLPs or anything like that. I did everything just through hard work, good diet, and dedication and motivation. What is your opinion, and where do you stand on the shortcuts? And I mean, I watch TV now, and there's a new GLP-1 commercial or advertisement on
Yeah.
every show I watch. It's being shoved down your throat. It's the easy way.
Yeah.
I just look at it as the easy way. I see those commercials and I just laugh, and I know that somebody out there is going to say, oh yeah, that's for me. Over, I'd rather just change my diet. I'd rather work out more. I'd rather change my life, but instead I'll just take a pill or I'll take a shot.
Yeah. So those GOP ones, like the injectable ones, the synthetic ones, and I've recently learned this. So if the people disagree, they disagree. I could care less. It binds to your receptor and blocks it. So your body's naturally has GOP in it, or that hormone, and when you put that in there, you're blocking your natural receptors. I'm not against it. Like my mom's on Ozempic right now for blood sugar because she has diabetes, and she takes it like it's recommended. She doesn't take it for weight loss. Um, but other things like I'm not against like Retatrutide's another one. It's a peptide that works really well for people. I don't know much about it. I've never dived into it. It's something that I wanted to try, but I wanted to research it a little more. I don't need it for like weight loss, but it helps with like food cravings and stuff. Like just because I'm on my fitness journey doesn't mean I don't have a sweet tooth. Like I still like cookies. I still like ice cream. You know what I mean? And I don't have those like I used to, but every now and again I'll have them. You know what I mean? I did my journey at the beginning all natural. I wasn't on anything um, except for TRT. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing any crazy doses. It was just real mild. You know what I mean? I think I was doing 125 mgs a week. You know what I mean? And once I got real lean and I got to a spot, I wanted to try Anavar because I heard it was really good. And I like Anavar. Some people do, some people don't. I liked it. It did great. I was trying to bulk up a little bit, go from that 176 back up to the 190. So I ran a cycle of that and up my testosterone a little bit, like you do when you're on that stuff. And I felt great. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a shortcut because I've taken Deanabol before and ate like shit and worked out when I wanted to. And I looked like a fat dude who worked out.
Right.
You know what I mean? It didn't do for me what it could have done if I had my diet and nutrition right. You know what I mean? I didn't do my bloods right. I didn't know much about it. It's just something that I did. And then when I started researching it more and figuring out, hey, you're doing this wrong, that's when I stopped. You know what I mean? Got my blood work done and trying to get everything back into order so that way my bloods were right and I wasn't affecting my body in a bad manner. You know what I mean? A lot of people that have done that, they don't have that good outcome. You know what I mean? I wasn't on it for long. My strength was great, but I didn't look any. I just looked, like I said, like a fat workout guy. When I was on the Anavar, my nutrition was proper. You know what I mean? I worked out. I took it like I was told to take it. You know what I mean? I didn't just jump on the internet and okay, I'm gonna take this now. Like I had someone behind me who knew what they were doing. You know what I mean? Have taken it before. They were IBBF pro. That's who I was talking to. Um, so he's running me step by step. I was getting my bloods done, making sure all my liver markers were right, all everything. My estrogen was right. It was right with what my testosterone levels were at, and I loved it. I'll definitely do it again. You know what I mean? It's something that I'll definitely try again, and well, not try. I'll definitely take again. So I'm not against it, but if you think about it, there's no real shortcut. I mean, yeah, you can take all the GLPs and all that shit that you want, but as soon as you're off of it, you're right back to where you
Right
were
back at it.
right back at square one because you didn't do the proper steps. You know what I mean? There are some people that diet and workout alone don't help out right away, but there's other ways around that besides doing some Ozempic shot or something like that. You know what I mean? There's different ways to do it than to completely shut something off in your body, and then now you don't have that production anymore. You know what I mean? And then when you get off it, I don't know the full outcome of when you come off it. I haven't researched it because it's not really something that I'm interested in doing. You know what I mean? I know that I do an injectable every single day. Like I microdose testosterone every single day. That way there's no hills and valleys, hills and valleys. Um, so to me, that's that injection right there. That's enough. So
You're an old man. You get to take testosterone.
it was pretty low when I started. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. The only reason I bring that up is because the topic of this has been simple, not easy.
Yeah.
And when you start talking about those GLP ones, that's just easy. And it's taking the easy route. It's
Yeah.
walking down the road that is downhill and not uphill to get to the top of the mountain. You're like,
Well, especially if you
I'll
don't
just
do
go
it
downhill and
properly.
get the car and drive up.
Yeah. Especially if you don't do it properly. You know what I mean? It'd be really bad for you. I mean, there's things going around right now. It just ruining people's lives. You know what I mean? Like my mom had told me that there's somebody that she had seen that was on it, and their face is all sunken in, and they don't look proper, they don't look right.
Right.
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah. I've seen people on it that look like skeletons.
Yeah.
And you're like, what did you do? Well, man, I appreciate it. I will link your information down in the show notes so people can find you. I'm gonna start working out with you. We've already talked about it. We've already put it in the works. We've both been a little bit busy. You just got back from Florida. I'm still getting situated here out in Texas, but I'm really looking forward to it. I know you're a wealth of knowledge, and your transformation alone shows that you know what you're talking about and that you know what you're doing. So, like I said, I'll link your stuff below so people can find you. Is there anything you want to say as kind of a closing statement that encapsulates who you are as a coach, what your message is, and what you have to provide for people who are looking for somebody to help them change their life?
I'm still trying to figure all that out, to be honest with you. My main message is, and what I would say to people or possible clients is, you have to remember why you're here. You know what I mean? If you contact me or whatever, or I contact you, and this is something you want to do, you have to remember why you're here. You have to remember your why, and you have to put in work, because just eating and just slinging weights around it's not going to do it for you. You have to eat what you're supposed to eat, do your workouts properly, and be consistent with them. You can't just do them every now and again. As long as you're willing to put in the work and you know your why, you'll achieve whatever you want to achieve, whether it's gaining weight and getting muscle or losing weight and then getting muscle. Just remember your why. And I'll be there to help pull it out of you if you need me. Like, if you want to talk or you need to talk to me about it and we need to brainstorm on what your why is, I'm here to help you. No issues helping people, because my coach, when I first started, he needed to get my why out of me. You know what I mean? And I mean, just because I got in shape or whatnot, you still have your down days. You know what I mean? Like, you still have a day. Like, if you miss the gym a day, that's not that big a deal. Just don't consistently do it. If you had a bad day, shit, you had a bad day. Tomorrow's a new day. So go out tomorrow with everything you got. Be like, it's not going to break me. It's not going to beat me down. Yesterday sucked. Today's a new day.
I'm fired up. Amen to that, bro. Yeah, no doubt. Today is done, and tomorrow's a new day.
Yep.
Yeah. Amen to that, bro. Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking time from your wife and your family. They're actually here hanging out at my house now, so that's cool. That y'all just got to come over and hang out with us. But thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on here.
Of course, brother. We're definitely going to do one here soon. Again, when we get in the gym together, have a little bit different of a conversation to talk about, maybe some more finer points on, how everything's going. But yeah, man, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is the Awesome Watch podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will be back with more.